Sing really loud so we can hear you, but we're going to have Julie come up and lead us in song. With the recording, yes.
Oh, okay. All right. There you go. Wilbur and Norval had a dream. Nothing is impossible. Imagine if a man took wing. Nothing is impossible. People laughed, it can't be done. Man's not meant to fly. Their little dream changed everything. They dared to touch the sky. Nothing is impossible. Dreams are made to shine. Blow by every obstacle. Move like you're unstoppable. Nothing is impossible. There's a place inside of you where nothing is impossible. All the great things you will do, 'cause nothing is impossible. You were born into this world with everything you need. Hold on to your heart, the magic starts the moment you believe. Nothing is impossible. Dreams are made to fly. When you blow by every obstacle, move like you're unstoppable. Nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible. You were born to shine. When you blow by every obstacle, move like you're unstoppable. Nothing is impossible. I heard you in your heart.
Thank you, Julie. Well, welcome again and glad to see everybody. And we are going to start with our statement of faith. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God, the good omnipotence. And then our affirmation. Thank you, God, that we have come to this place to release the past, celebrate the present, and embrace the future in love, peace, harmony, and prosperity. And our affirmation. We at Unity Center are a loving, diverse, spiritual community who have come together to demonstrate and live the teachings of Jesus Christ by listening, learning, and empowering ourselves and others. And we're going to do prayer requests. And I want to say that last week when Reverend Patty Papia spoke, she talked about how Unity started. And I loved being reminded of that story, that it was Myrtle who had a health need and she heard a different thought and she began to say that thought and that changed her life. It changed her health. And then other people started to ask her to pray with them. So as we're praying this morning and every week, we are remembering the power that Myrtle started. And I feel like she's here affirming and praying with us. So why don't we start with some prayer requests, and I'll just remind you that we want just a first name and a couple of words about the request. Okay. What if we say for healing? How about if my pen would work? Okay. Kendall? Anybody else? Jean? Beth? Oh. Well, happy birthday in anticipation of that day. We might have to sing later. Sandy? Christine and August. Leandra? Okay. Jennifer for healing. Okay. Sandy? I hope I can read my writing here. Okay, so Myrtle, we're with you and we ask you to be with us as we recognize and honor these prayer requests and all the people who haven't spoken, who have their own requests. So for healing, Debbie, Rhoda, and for energy for Rhoda also, for Christine and August, all of these are for healing. And guidance for Leandra, for harmony, for, harmony for, who is that for? Thank you, Norma. Perfect. Thank you. I'm going to have you come up here and do this the next time. For Sister Linda for healing, for Jennifer, for Judy for stamina. And of course, we're going to sneak in an early birthday wish here for Sue. If I missed anyone, know you're part of the circle and you're part of the healing, and Myrtle decreed it so for us so many years ago. So, let's take all these requests in our heart, this gorgeous day that we've been gifted with. And we ask that the gorgeousness of the day and the peace that's in this room right this very moment could spread out through the entire world. We know that this is in action right now. We will hold this in our intention all week long. Every time we pray, we'll remember these words and remember these people and know that all is well and all is at peace. And I've asked Jolene to come up and read the daily word.
Good morning. Let's see. Taking responsibility for my life leads me to freedom. That's what I thought. There you go. Okay. Here we go again. Let's see. Forgive. I begin my journey of forgiveness. Unforgiveness is a healthy bag of rocks I carry on my shoulders. When I drop the bag and begin to set the rocks aside one by one, I embark upon a healing journey. God is with and within me on this journey as my constant support and strength. When forgiveness feels difficult, I need only return my attention to the Spirit's constant loving and accepting presence within me. Reestablishing my consciousness connection brings warm and welcoming acceptance. It is an important step in the unburdening process of forgiveness. I forgive others as well as myself, knowing each act of forgiveness increases my freedom to live a happy and fulfilling life. Bear with one another, and if anyone has a complaint against another, forgive each other, just as the Lord has forgiven you, and so you must forgive.
All right, now it's time for our special music, and we're pleased to have Julie Thompson and Doug Esty with us this morning, and we can't wait to hear you.
Guy Clark wrote this song called The Cape. "8 years old with a flour sack cape tied around his neck. Climbed up on the garage, figuring what the heck. Screwed his courage up so high, the whole thing came unwound. Got a running start, bless his heart, he headed for the crown. Well, he's one of those who knows that life is just a leap of faith. Spread your arms, hold your breath, and always trust your cape. Now he's all grown up with a flour sack cape tied around his dreams. He's full of spit and vinegar, he's busting at the seams. Licked his finger and he checked the wind, he said it's gonna be do or die. Wasn't scared of nothing, boys, he was pretty sure he could fly. Well, he's one of those who knows that life is just a leap of faith. Spread your arms, hold your breath, always trust your cape. Now he's old and gray with a flour sack cape tied around his head. Still jumping off the garage, he will be till he's dead. All the years the people said he's acting like a kid. Did not know he could not fly, so he did. Well, he's one of those who knows that life is just a leap of faith. Spread your arms and hold your breath, always trust your cape. Well, he's one of those who knows that life is just a leap of faith. Spread your arms and hold your breath, and always trust your cape. Thank you.
Doug and Julie, that was beautiful and inspiring, and now I'm going to picture all of us running around with a cape. We are pleased to welcome this morning Reverend Eva Overholt. She has not been here with us for a while, and we're so glad that you're here this morning.
Yes, I have my cape.
I just want to know, we did not talk about this.
All divine order. Yes, also the purple ticket. Good morning, everyone. It's wonderful to be here today. Welcome also to those that are joining us virtually. I'm grateful for all of your presence. Before we get started this morning, I'd like to ask that we begin, or really a continuation, a reflective moment of the prayer request and just the general conditions of our world today. Primarily to take a collective pause to honor our city, our greater Milwaukee metro area, and then extend our alignment globally. So with the extreme discordance and unrest that's occurring on our planet at this time, may we use this time together to ground our intentions and our being among those that continue to serve and uplift the greater causes for humanity and the upliftment for all people. So recently, I've been frequently using the term consciously conscious as I share with others and consider what my choices are and the decisions that I'm making. For the most part, I use it when referring to making choices that are deliberate and made from a place of seeking the highest and best versus making poor choices that may be reactive, vengeful, or done without thought of consequences, or perhaps that are self-serving or lack consideration of others. But this term also relates to today's sermon topic, Christ consciousness. What does that mean? And how does it show up for me? Of course, there's a great deal of subjectivity to this topic, but I want to share with you today some of my observations and perceptions and applications for you to use and to consider as you examine your understanding of your experiences of Christ consciousness and how it does or does not occur in your life, and how using the framing of being consciously conscious in our lives can greatly impact how it shows up for us. So for the sake of context, I want to let you know that my intention for today is to go beyond the image of Christ in the way that we relate to Jesus as a human man, but to expand Christ consciousness to a broader understanding, and that we consider Christ consciousness as an ideal or divine virtue to practice and to develop in our own lives. Essentially, you can consider Christ consciousness as a higher dimensional or an elevated aspect of consciousness. So over time, there's certainly many scholars that have written about this, and there's a lot of material available. But what I tend to like to use is more of a practical application. How can we apply this to more of our ordinary day in and day out happenings? So I'll say more about that later, but as an example, consider our ordinary consciousness that is based upon many of our human conditions, knowledge, education, personal experiences, collective and societal norms. Christ consciousness is indeed all of that and then some. Meaning that if we use all of those conditions and filters when we are making decisions, interacting in our relationships, informing our personal choices and such, typically we're operating from an enlightened perspective of consciousness. When we're making choices seeking the perspective of Christ consciousness, we often go beyond the obvious nature of our choices into considerations and implications from the perspective of greater compassion and deeper perspective and acceptance from the variables in humanity. A more simplistic way to relate to this is we've often heard, and it does relate to Jesus as a man, but also Jesus as a master, the simple phrase that applied to any choice or behavior that asked the rhetorical and or literal question of what would Jesus do? By asking ourselves that one question as we make choices and take actions, for most of us, we immediately shift our awareness into a broader perspective and implications of the consequences. When we operate from our limitations, judgments, and barriers, we often make choices based upon what's in it for me, or short-term immediate gratification versus broader applications that create consequences and potentially negative impacts over time. Just as parents teach their children how to develop their consciousness, that is making good choices and taking right actions, the ideal of Christ consciousness allows us to do the same in a more deliberate or expanded way. For example, let's take a look at tithing, since we're here in church. And no one put me up to this. The traditional meaning and application of tithing is based upon a financial formulation. Usually this is understood as a formula using 10% of your earnings to gift to your place of worship. Now, in this example, from a conscious point of view, you may understand clearly why that standard was initiated. From an operational point of view, churches, mosques, synagogues, and other community organizations have financial needs, much the same as a business or even a household. So to sustain an organization over time, it requires funding to do so. As a member, you might not feel that that percentage is doable. Maybe you're strapped for cash, on a fixed income, in between jobs, or somehow otherwise limited in your resources. So instead of tithing 10% of your income, you drop a few bills into the collection plate. That's fine, right? Again, very perceptual, no judgment. You're giving something. Okay, from that point of view, yes, that's fine. And the choice is yours. However, my observation in that example, it may be coming from the consciousness of the shoulds and have tos. I should give something, or I feel like I have to give something. An elevated perspective through Christ vision or Christ consciousness has me remembering that attending church and or a community gathering of my choice nourishes me, or at least it hopefully should. So understanding that I'm receiving an energetic exchange, the way that I view my giving, it opens up the expanded stream of giving that is also, as most of us know, a form of receiving. It shifts the giver into a place of abundance thinking versus limitation or lack mentality. And it establishes seeing this example from the perspective of Christ consciousness, adding here that one sees a greater picture of their giving, such things as helping others, helping the community that I align with and enjoy being a part of. And I see the value of sharing the gifts that I am given. I choose to support a community that promotes compassion for humanity. I feel good about contributing to a cause or institution that will bring forth possibilities of a better world and future for humanity. I feel blessed to be with others that are participating in developing Christ consciousness and moral values based upon the broad acceptance and understanding of others. I often remind people that an expanded idea of tithing, or more contemporary interpretation of tithing from a Christ consciousness perspective, can include more than just financial gifts. It can be expressed through services offered, time volunteering, sharing your unique gifts in special ways. So enough about tithing. It's very much a personal choice to use your resources, but I do stress that giving from an enlightened perspective is an act of Christ consciousness, regardless of where your gifts are directed. So allow me to deepen the understanding of Christ consciousness from a more practical application, which is, and how you get to recognize it in your life, and even in along the way on your expanding spiritual journey. First of all, a few things that Christ consciousness typically is not. It has no themes of judgment or being judgmental. It is not harsh in its expectations. It is fixed in idealism. It is not fixed in idealism or outdated belief systems. And it does not desire to make others wrong or project shame and or guilt onto anyone, nor does it seek to be in the limelight. Often we think of Christ consciousness as a developmental or expansive condition. For example, if we make a mistake or do something regretful, hopefully we will not desire to repeat our mistakes, or we tend to want to learn from them rather than make ourselves or others wrong for our missteps. You could say often consciousness finds ways to make certain past mistakes that we've done, make them so we don't repeat them again for whatever we need to put in place or have the awareness around to not repeat that condition. Christ consciousness includes accountability and being honest, admitting our errors or missteps, and apologizing to others if we cause harm or hurt for any reason. It seems recently that accountability and honesty are two things that have seemingly been weakened or non-existent lately in so many fronts. However, rather than blaming others or making people wrong for what we see them doing, we can only steer our own boats and be accountable for our own behaviors and ultimately show others who we are through our actions over time. Not just by saying words that are not backed by credibility or evidence. Christ consciousness is very much an inside job, meaning that it outpictures in ways we demonstrate to others and how we live our lives. It often appears to other people as high standards for others and for themselves, and holds a strong moral compass when conducting their life matters. Although this is not the motivating intention for someone who is making choices initiated from clear consciousness, rather it is more cause, right choices, right decisions and such that determines the effect, the way that it may look or occur to others. Another simple measure of this can be viewed through close relationships and friendships. These are the breeding grounds for experiencing lessons in developing Christ consciousness. Do we show up as self-centered, arrogant, or needy? Or do we apply values of conscious choices to cultivate relationships that are based upon mutual reciprocation, equality, and consideration and respect for other people? Those that are further deepened through Christ consciousness choices, as we deliberately bring into our awareness choices that are based on oneness. As I love my neighbor, my brother, my lover, my coworker, my sister, my friend, then I also will find that they will honor me in these same ways as the cycle of giving and receiving is put into place. It makes for a much more fulfilling experience with fewer conflicts and greater potential for enrichment and gratitude. Conversely, we have very recently seen numerous examples in relationships without deliberate consciousness and how that can look as well. There can be regret, hatred, greed, suspicion, loathing, sense of separateness, and closed-mindedness, and in extreme cases, individual and collective delusions. Just a quick contrast here for you to ask yourself, how do I want to live my life? from a place of being lovingly supported by ideals and practices of acceptance and mercy for myself and others, or themes of paranoia, judgment, projection, and such. Don't get me wrong. I'm not placing this on any one area of life or on one person or group. This is omnipresent. These conditions occur and prevail over time, and they're based on every choice we make, choice by choice. Christ consciousness is an accumulation of many inspired mindful choices and actions that are taken over the course of a lifetime and solidified over multiple lifetimes. You may have heard the term, it's never too late to do the right thing. I encourage you to keep that in mind and be on the mindful lookout every time your ego self, your personality self, your lower mind, and or someone is leading you to make choices that are going against what your higher self would have you do. And most people, I would know in this room, have developed that distinction or that understanding of that contrast. When you live your life based upon creating and co-creating your experiences from the higher mind, your Christ consciousness is always the condition that allows that to be so. That brings me to another consideration of Christ consciousness and the way that it's manifested in our lives. That is to consider how this is initially precipitated from observing your thoughts, thought forms, and being mindful of how you relate to others, especially under trying or difficult circumstances. It seems that as we practice, and I do mean practice daily, sometimes minute to minute, how to live our lives through expressions of deeds of Christ consciousness and dedicate ourselves to the conscious self-mastery, we shift into the right-brained experience, the approach to our daily lives. For example, we naturally aid our evolutionary state of being as we become more intuitive and creative. In other words, we don't just do things for the sake of doing the right thing, which is absolutely necessary and worthy, but we become motivated by embracing our God-given omnipotence, the condition of knowing that we are accountable and partaking in the co-creation of all of our experiences. That really, to me, bears repeating. Knowing that the true condition of Christ consciousness is being accountable and responsible for our part in the co-creation of our individual and collective experiences. We have a hand in everything that we see as part of our world and experiences. So as we look at war, hatred, harassment, judgment, and other cruel behaviors, we too must see that we have these parts within us. And not to use these as a means to be self-loathing or self-assigned unworthy, but rather as a motivation to seek a greater understanding of our shortcomings, our indiscretions, and our personal shadows. So as to embrace these parts of our human condition and be willing to forgive ourselves, as we often more easily forgive others, or in some cases, resist, refuse to forgive ourselves, and ultimately refuse to give others. Forgiveness, it's the lesson of the day. Definitely worth pondering. It's a very poisonous condition when we hold the hatred themes towards others. So forgiving of ourselves and forgiving of others is definitely a key aspect of Christ consciousness. So just for today, followed by tomorrow, and Cindy's birthday on Tuesday, and followed by any number of days that we have remaining to do this practice, I encourage you to begin this endeavor immediately. In summary and in generalized terms, consider these qualities as a way to view and embrace Christ consciousness, awareness, and to develop as taught by many of the great masters, including Master Jesus himself. Be gentle and be kind. Be respectful to others. For each of you, by our God-given free will, is entitled to our opinions and beliefs. And as we are encouraged to keep those opinions and beliefs in constant check and an ongoing review, know that we really never fully know or can understand other human beings' experiences and or their lessons. And others cannot likely realistically know what ours are. Practice compassion and expanding understanding. Practice radiating love to others, even if in the unspoken. Practice radiating love to animals, plants, and all living beings. Practice humility and promote purpose through right actions. Give thanks for all things, both grand and ordinary. Seek to love in action through courageous acts done by others. For leaders that promote peace. For innovations that support healing and well-being. And take time to care for others. Show others that you care for yourself and teach them how you wish to be treated. Practice loving your neighbors, especially those that you feel as challenged or among your enemies. Finally, seek to heal yourself of anything that you view as less than or broken in any way. Recognize that the love that you are, the love that you have always been, and the love that seeks to express as Christ consciousness in all forms, undeniably and without limitations. Amen. At this time, I invite you to deliberately adjust and situate yourself into a comfortable position. To the full extent that you can. As we collectively welcome this brief opportunity to relax and be present to the flow and movement of the auspicious energy of love. If you feel comfortable, you can close your eyes and imagine a field of light surrounding you and providing a protective shield around you in your personal space. Take a moment to scan and review your physical body. Again, making any slight shifts and adjustments to promote your physical comfort as you allow yourself to ever so gently let go of any potential distractions. Sounds you may hear or detect can be minimized or tuned out. And mind chatter can be invited to momentarily be silent. Now is the opportunity for you to deliberately participate in the sacred space of allowing your higher self a moment of recognition and expression. To facilitate this, I invite you to sense the comfort and safety of your breath and being in a sacred space. Just stay with that for a few rounds of your breath as your body naturally softens with the opportunity to ease its functions of vigilant support. There's no effort needed in this now moment. It can simply be. In the posture of being, you naturally align with your true nature, your highest self, and the sense of Christ consciousness that you know to be true about your sacred self. And for a moment, allow that to develop in your mind's eye and notice its calming nature. Still using your breath to anchor and to maintain peaceful ease, physical relaxation, and comfort. At this time, I invite you to allow your innate divine nature to come forth, to fully express itself and remind you of the truth of who you are as a spiritual being. That part that permanently resides in the energy of love, that sees things, life experiences, and opportunities from Christ consciousness, and knows only love, and expresses from a place of pure and unconditional love. Allow this to manifest now, to support you and to reveal to you the connection that is always available to you as you actively acknowledge your alignment and willingness to participate in conscious decisions of upliftment and love. Allow yourself to be open to any messages of insight, of indication of your true nature, seeing with clarity the ways that your life and actions manifest Christ consciousness. Take a moment to appreciate all that you do and all that you have done to attempt to make choices that support your loving nature and that you have generously shared with others. Allow yourself to receive the love as a means to heal any part of you that still harbors reluctance or resistance to sharing your love with others. Imagine you are free and unbound from any limitations, either real or perceived, that keep your love or loving nature concealed in any way. Imagine now perhaps a person or circumstance that is troubling you. One where you feel you were harmed or hurt in some way. Think of how this has limited you or held you back by taking precious time or energy from you in any way. Imagine that you have the ability to neutralize this event or view it from the eyes of another. And instead seek healing from this elevated perspective, one of forgiveness compassion, and understanding. This is not something that will require effort. Spirit will easily assist you in this query to see where you have healing potential available. Just allow this to be so. Surrender gently to willingness and allow yourself to experience relief and release. Using your breath to ground yourself even more deeply. Consider asking if there's any further actions that you might initiate to be an active part of your collaborative healing. And again, ever so gently, take a moment to express your gratitude for this now moment, knowing you are safe, you are loved, you are innocent. Allow for this opportunity to allow you to continue to relax and imagine deeper levels of personal healing. I encourage you to remember this journey can be resumed again at any later time, perhaps when you're more alert, rested, or generally feeling a sense of readiness or urgency. So once again, gently give thanks for your willingness and participation in this process. And when you are ready, gently bring your awareness and physical presence back into the space of this room, taking a few more calming breaths as you begin to gently open your eyes.
Thanks so much, Reverend Eva. That was very good. All right. Now's the time for our weekly offering. So please gather your gifts in your hands and pray together with me. There is no lack or limitation. Freely I give and freely I receive from God's abundance. I am blessed as I give, and unity is blessed in receiving. And we're about to have another song from Julie and Doug.
This song is David Roth, sort of one of the New Thought writers. Wrote it a long time ago. I was calling a unity in Florida where a Reverend had moved to, and I was put on hold, and I heard this song. So I asked this was 25 years ago or something. I said, "What is that song?" It's great. So haven't done it for a long time. First time he's heard it. Thanks for bringing the banjo. And all right. Seems to me like a good song for Christ consciousness. As we come around to take our places at the table, moment to remember and reflect upon our work. Here's to loving friends and family. Here's to being able to gather here together in good company and health. May we be released from all those feelings that would harm us. May we have the will to give them up and get them gone. Heavy are the satchels full of anger and false promise. May we have the strength to put them down. And may the light of love be shining deep within your spirit. May every day.
Thanks so much, Julie and Doug. Okay, can we bring the offering up? So join me in let's as we pray over these gifts, bless them, knowing that God will multiply them, use them for his and her greatest purpose, to help expand our community, to grow our center, to help all those who come here for fellowship, community, and personal spiritual growth. Amen. All right, time for announcements. So COVID guidelines, Linda talked about this at the very beginning. We're going to start posting the sign at the front door that shows the current risk level in our community. And we value everyone. So please, anyone who feels that they're at greater risk, we encourage them to wear a mask at any time. As of right now, Milwaukee County is in the high category, and the CDC is saying that we should be masking when indoors. So that's why we've asked to stop singing today and to wear a mask when we're not at the podium. But please refer to that sign as you walk in the door. Unity Book Club is still on Thursdays. It's virtual or in person. What Happened to You, a book by Bruce D. Perry and Oprah Winfrey. It's an amazing book that talks about how trauma shapes our entire lives, not just the time that it occurs to us. Silent Unity Prayer is every Thursday at 11 a.m. It's immediately following the book club. Join us and Unity churches and facilities all around the world every Thursday at 11, either in your own home or you can come online or stop in here for a 15-minute prayer service. Course in Miracles starts about 11:45 every Sunday, led by our own Joanne Bauman. So she's here today. Don't forget to visit our website. We've got some services and advertisements on our bulletin board. There's a positive information under the Inspiring Insights tab. We have a weekly guided meditation under the classes tab. You can also see past Sunday services. Our Life Journey group meets on the second and fourth Monday of the month from 6:30 to 8:15. It's a wonderful, warm discussion and meditation that is every 2 weeks. The next one is Monday. So if you want any information from that or about that, please see me. Volunteers are needed. We can use garden angels to help weed and water, greeters, kitchen help, people to help lead the service. Anything that you can do even once a month is great. So please see Diane if you've got any questions about that. So Garden Helper Day is hereby declared as next Saturday, May 28th from 10 to noon. So come be with your spiritual community and help spruce up the gardens, the center's gardens. Kids are welcome. We have chalk and bubbles. We're going to focus on thistles and mulching. So bring your gloves, your wheelbarrows, and your thistle pullers, and we're going to have a great time on Saturday. I can just see everybody getting the, yes, you want to leave right now and go and get all of your supplies ready, don't you? It's going to be good. So is Ron here today? Don't think so. I think we're going to just skip over this slide. Okay, unfortunately, because of the high COVID numbers and the request to wear masks indoors, we've decided we're going to put a pause on Potluck Sunday. So we will not have one next Sunday on May 29th. Hopefully we'll be back in good shape for June. So we are going to have a board of trustees election being voted on by the Unity members here, right here as soon as we finish our service. So We don't even want to take a break because it should only take us 5 minutes or so. So what we're going to do is right after we pray, or right after we listen to the closing song, we're going to pass out ballots to members, and we will take any nominations from the floor. And then we'll just do a quick vote. Diane's going to give an update on our budget situation. And as soon as she is done with that, hopefully we will have our votes counted and we can announce the winners of our Board of Trustees election. So we can just stay in our places and just think of the words, let there be peace. We can put all of our energy into sending this out into the earth, even though we're not using our vocal cords to do it. Enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and so it is. Thank you. So, do we have